Good afternoon. This is Thursday, June 27th. I'm sorry Larry is not with us again today, but I have some incredible news to share with you that he texted me just a couple hours ago, and pretty exciting. As you know, Larry has been fighting lung cancer for 3 or 4 years, and that has apparently gone into remission, but that leaves him dealing with COPD and emphysema. He started a new treatment a couple weeks ago. I mentioned that once before to you, that he was going to do this new treatment. It's an expensive treatment, and we are so very, very grateful to the people who were able to contribute to make it possible. I told you that Larry had lost a third of his left lung in a drive-by shooting with a shotgun, and that complicates his life, and certainly has complicated his lung disease because he doesn't have full lung capacity. And when these storms come through, like they've had this summer with the tornadoes and the falling barometric pressure that just nosedives, and I've told you before that he feels like somebody's just put a vacuum hose in his mouth and is sucking all the air out of him. He's had to be very careful about the oxygen he takes being adequately humid, and anyhow, you guys should know all that already. But he had this special treatment a couple weeks ago, and I told you that the very next day, before he had this treatment, his lung, the partial lung, had collapsed. And they had been very worried about whether they could get him, whether he would live through the weekend to be even able to start this treatment. And the fact that in spite of his condition, they were going to go ahead and do this specialized treatment, that was miraculous in itself. But I also told you that the very next, it was 2 days of whatever they did, and the very next day, his collapsed lung started functioning again at 30% capacity. That has continued to improve until Tuesday, when he did the program with Jason Goodman. So the program with Jason Goodman really did a negative number on his poor body. So I suggest you go to Jason Goodman and listen to the program Larry did with him, because there's some information in there I had never heard before. Some of it was repetitive, talking about the reparations and the student loan payoffs and free college and so on. But some of the information he gave us is how, he says he's not a prophet. He doesn't get visions from heaven. He told us how he knew these things. And the reparations idea, as I told you the other day, that yesterday I reminded you that had come from decades ago in a conversation between Jesse Jackson and Bill Clinton that he described on Tuesday, among other things. So listen to that program with Jason Goodman from 2 days ago on Tuesday, June 25th. So Larry's vital signs yesterday were down considerably. They were very upset with him for doing that program with Jason, and they were really worried about his jeopardizing his chance at improvement. But I want you to know that today the hospital staff were in shock. Some of them were actually jumping up and down for joy because of the improvement that has happened. Whatever the testing was that they had done has shown incredible turnaround. Now, here's another big piece of incredible news. He received in the mail yesterday some money, or not in the mail, through a wire transfer. He received some money that wasn't just for one day. He has worked out a deal with the medical professionals that they will give him a discount, hopefully for his just basic treatment that he still needs to get at least once a day. That is now covered until his next big treatment of whatever this big thing is that he's doing. That's incredibly good news. However, that money is now set aside only for that daily routine treatment. Recently, because of the condition of his lungs, as he is recovering, he got very, very sick after this, whatever it is that he's doing. He got very sick. The doctors said he had picked up a virus in the hospital, and he was really, he was vomiting, and he was just back at death's door again. He has recovered from that, but if you listen to him on Tuesday, he's still talking barely above a whisper, and he has to be very careful. He's not supposed to be talking, and if he does talk, then his lungs just throb really badly. But the news today was extremely encouraging. However, he has had to have additional treatments especially when the storms come through. So if you are looking at the weather and see these big storms coming up from Texas or Louisiana through Oklahoma and Arkansas, on up through Missouri, up into Illinois and Indiana and Ohio and so on, Pennsylvania, Michigan, as that line goes through. When it goes through Arkansas, Larry really struggles to breathe. There are things that they can do to help him. He's still suffering excruciating pain. I know he's got shrapnel lodged in places that they cannot remove it, and that causes a lot of suffering for him. And that's from his service to our country from many decades ago, starting in Vietnam. He needs pain medication. When he can't be home, he needs some help to sleep. Sometimes even when he is home, he needs help to sleep, depending on what treatment he's been able to get. So we have something basic covered, but he is going to need more than that. If he goes into the hyperbaric chamber, it's a 4-hour session at $100 an hour. I was just reading today an article that talked about the hyperbaric chamber being really good for people with Alzheimer's to help them regain some, because of the high dose of oxygen that it provides. Anyhow, if Larry's going to need these additional treatments, we need to raise the money for him. So I know we're approaching the end of the month, and if you get your Social Security check at the beginning of the month, not the end of the month, I know that times are really hard for you. If there is any way you can continue to give, we know we have this guarantee that he will get at least one treatment a day, but we need to make sure he gets the other things. He is having to be very, very careful, not talk, follow doctor's orders, not do anything stupid. Now, when I say not do anything stupid, we've heard stories. If you've been on the conference calls, we've told some of these stories. Larry has told these stories to us. I've told these stories on him. After he got his major treatment the other day, he was just kind of going stir crazy. Couldn't stand being at the hospital any longer. And so he has done this multiple times, gone against medical advice and left the hospital and gone home in his hospital gown. And I mean, some of the stories, his poor wife, I just can't imagine her having to cope with some of this nonsense that he does. So if he doesn't do anything stupid like that, then there is great hope that things are going to really change and turn around for him very, very soon. But he is going to continue to need some help if he gets himself in trouble and needs, and sometimes it's getting in trouble has less to do with him doing something stupid like walking home from the hospital, and usually has more to do with the weather that we have no control over, and that causing his lungs to just really suffer and not work at high functioning. So whatever you can do to keep the money trickling in so that we can get so he can get these additional treatments to keep him alive, that would be very helpful. His life is probably going to be in danger again. I've told you that I was aware of at least 25 assassination attempts on him last year. We don't know what all he's working on. He's been too sick to work on anything recently. But I don't know what he knows, what he's doing right now. I just have no clue. But he does have that magic mailbox, and who knows what appears in it or when. So something is on a fairly regular basis, I would assume. I'm assuming. I really have no clue. But when more things come into his magic mailbox, he has to do something with it. So he's going to need our help. So would you please share this? We appreciate so much that the Lord is doing some marvelous things in his body. We have high hopes of what kind of change and turnaround is going to happen for him. But in the meantime, besides just his one basic treatment a day, he is going to need additional help. The major thing that he's doing has been paid for, so we don't have to come up with that money. What we need to come up with is money for him to get the hyperbaric treatment occasionally. And he just needs this help to get him to the next of the major. He had to wait 4 weeks before he could have this next round of whatever this therapeutic thing is that he's doing. So anything you can do to help would be greatly appreciated. His PayPal account is nicholslive@aol.com. There's a link at the website, nicholslive.com, NICHOLSLIVE, nicholslive.com. Also, his mailing address is there that you can send money to him in the mail if you don't do PayPal. But please remember, he cannot cash a check or money order or MoneyGram or anything like that. If you have a large donation and want to send it through Western Union or Walmart to Walmart, the phone number to send a text, and I'll help walk you through what to do with that, because we have to make sure we know who we're sending it to, not just sending it to Larry. So if you need to be able to do something like that, don't Western Union a small amount. It needs to be a big amount because he has to pay somebody to go pick it up for him. So I guess that's it for today. Thank you very much. If you want to hear a little more, we have a conference call in 45 minutes, and that number is listed underneath the video here in the description. And you are welcome to join there. We very often discuss ways to do fundraising and so on. Please remember the t-shirts, Never Socialism. It is an investment. Larry does get a small amount of money from that shirt, which is why the cost is what it is. Remember, the t-shirt is the very best quality we can buy in this country. It is American made. It's a thick, fabulous quality. The ink that is used is the top best quality you can get. So Larry doesn't want to do anything cheap, even though, cheap may be what we would like to have, but we're making a statement with this shirt, and it's an investment, and it is an investment in saving the country. So I'd sure like to see more of these Never Socialism shirts running around the community. Thank you very much for being here, and we'll talk tomorrow. Bye.